We are at Villa Palagonia in Bulgaria, and this is so interesting because, first, it's an amazing place. Let me just show you what is amazing about it. This beautiful edifice that's built of tufa di Aspra, which is tufa that comes from a nearby town of Aspra. But you can see up above, there was the Prince of Palagonia really existed. He built this place, and he had a very whimsical, interesting. People called him mad, but he wasn't. He was really just kind of a brilliant guy. And he put all these figurines, commissioned all these figurines, which are a little bit strange if you look at them. There's musicians, there's hunchbacks, there's a statue of somebody kidnapping a woman. There's all kinds of crazy figurines, which people call monsters, all around this place. I think they said there's 70 and some. At one point there was 400 even leading on the road to the villa. It's really just an amazing, amazing place. We're at Villa Palagonia because I also wanted to show you this chapel, which the prince had commissioned, and a lot of really wealthy families had he had a chapel, small chapel inside the house, and he had his own chapel built outside. And here it is, and you can see the Virgin Mary above, and this gorgeous crucifix at the top. And then if you look to the right, that is actually the first statue in the row of the ones he commissioned. That's he himself. Well, let me take a moment, because what we're going to talk about tonight is Villa Palagonia and why it matters. It is outside Palermo in the town Bulgaria, and it is unlike any other place you will ever see. You know, when you go to Europe, you see a lot of churches, you see a lot of the basic things that are very interesting and cool. But this can only be in one place, Sicily, and is only this special place. It is actually it's named Villa Palagonia after the Prince of Palagonia. Here's a picture of him. His name was Francesco Ferdinando Gravina, and he was said to be mad. Now, he wasn't, though. It was the 1700s, and he was a wealthy, wealthy man. So he built this house. And what this is actually called is the Villa of Monsters, because he wasn't mad, although we don't really know for a fact if he was or he wasn't. He was rumored to be mad, but he was kind of obsessed with monsters. He had a very vivid imagination, and he lived thinking about monsters and researching monsters. He had enough wealth to build this incredible villa on this very beautiful area. Now, when you saw it in the modern day video, you see like those are apartment buildings behind it. That's not the estate. Here's an old picture of the estate. And you see the first thing you see are the poopy. Well, it's not poopy. That's my horrible, forget it. I won't even try the attempt. The idea is there's the monstros, the little monsters. These are supposed to be guardian monsters at the gate, and they're still there. This is not a picture I took. I'll show you my pictures in a minute. But the idea is he was so interested in monsters that he wanted to live among them. He sort of thought that there were monsters among us. It kind of, for me, when you read about its architecture, and its architecture is remarkable, I'll show it to you. And then I'll sort of talk about it a little bit more. But the idea is that they say it's an example of Sicilian Baroque architecture or Sicilian Gothic architecture. And to me, that's very interesting because one of the first things you see is this. Do you know what I'm saying? This is not an elegant, beautiful palazzo villa that you would see in Rome or one that you would see in Bulgaria, because Bulgaria was known as being the ritzy summer home of wealthy people. They lived in Palermo, and you've seen some of the Palermo videos, right? Well, a lot of those noble people would have beautiful villas in Bulgaria because it was near the sea. It was still in the Concadora, which, as you know, is where all the lemon groves are. And it was lush and it was fertile and there was this beautiful sea breeze. When you're there, you feel it, you smell it. Even modern day, you're like, this feels different than the city. It's cooler. And a Sicilian summer, which gets African winds, which can get the Sirocco off Africa, which is like dust storms. they need relief. They would hang big drapes in the window. They would try to live outside as much as they can. And these incredible villas, all of them more beautiful than the last, except for crazy Villa Palagonia, which you start to walk and you see, I'll show you the pictures more slowly. You know, it's in a beautiful location. The town's around it now, and there's the big street that we saw last week. But there's all the little monsters. What are they? They're musicians, they're women, they're people being kidnapped, they're dragons, they're skeletons. They're like hundreds. I think I knew the number at one point. I don't anymore. I should have looked it up before this. And they lined the wall. This is the outside wall of the villa. And each one, he commissioned these. It was in the 1700s. So it's not like that recent. It's here's America being born, and here he is building people being kidnapped, right? People thought he was nuts, but he loved that idea. He makes this really unusual home, first with the monsters, and I want you to see it because you never see this anywhere else. This doesn't exist other places. It's so unusual, and first off the beaten track, so you might not get to see it if you go to Sicily. But what's really cool is there are some European movies that have set scenes at Villa Palagonia because it's so incredible. One of those movies is a terrific movie. It's called Baria, Baaria. It's by Giuseppe Tornatore, who is from Sicily, and set a scene and sends a child to Villa Palagonia. Can you imagine being a kid and looking up at all these little statues and phantasms and Gothic gargoyles and things being eaten and double-headed monsters? Here they all are. Look, can you see? It's a beautiful, beautiful day that we were there. And the gardens are beautiful. But this is where the weird, you get the idea with the weirdness, right? Here's all the little monsters, crazy monsters, not cute monsters, really terrifically weird. Look at these, like, you know, weird and big hats. And I'll take you inside, and before I tell you why all this matters, besides the fact that it's fun and interesting, it does tie into the book, and I'll tell you how. But this is where you walk in a lot of these Sicilian villas had this area, because you'd come in your coach and you'd be covered, and then you would walk up the stairs, which is here. There's how you walked in, then you would walk up, and it was like, this staircase, which is the entrance to Villa Palagonia, is sort of known for being a very perfect example of Sicilian Baroque architecture. Very grand staircase, but also little weird, he puts his own weird stamp on it. The heads, some of the statuary on the ground is lying there, and some of it is from a sarcophagus, different kinds of things. Here you see the stairwell here. Unfortunately, it's fallen into disrepair, but you can still tour it. But I think that's actually only adds to its atmosphere. You know, you don't want a place to be like all spick and span when you're looking at a kind of a Gothic mansion that's obsessed with monsters, built by a guy who's obsessed with monsters and madness. There's a lot of madness and loyalty, which I'll tell you about in a minute. When you first walk in, you see something called the Hall of Hercules. And then you see this, the contrast is amazing because I don't know if you can see, very beautiful friezes and drawings and classical, but also strange. Like here's a guy wrestling with whatever this is, like a half, I don't know how to pronounce, I should have looked it up, but like a miniature, a chimera. It's Chimera. So you guys have to look it up. Well, you don't have to look it up, but I can't pronounce it fast enough. But the idea is, half man, half monsters, which was very much what the prince was interested in. How much of us is a monster? How much of us is a man? These are some people we were with. You can see all of these columns and stuff are just painted on. They're trompe-l'oeil. And here is the archway leading from the Hall of Hercules. You won't be able to see this, but it has his name and his family name and in the scroll above the archway. It's incredible. And then you walk through it. It's really sumptuous. I mean, there's no expense spared. Marble floors, beautiful, beautiful windows, marble on all these things. Here's more of the floor. I thought the floors were just like gorgeous. Even in disrepair, here was one part that was really in disrepair. Really beautiful. And stay tuned because we're coming to the weirdest attraction of all, which is emblematic of the Villa Palagonia, which is the Hall of Mirrors. The Hall of Mirrors has fake marble on the side. It's really painted glass made to look like marble. And the sides of it, they all look like this. And it was part of what he was trying to say, the prince, because he believed he wanted you to be in this room. This is this is if you look up and you see the ceiling, and there's all these mirrors up there. Now they're all colored and discolored now, because over time, this was in the 1750s, this place was built. But he wanted you to be in this room and feel really uncomfortable and not really know where you were looking and what was looking at you. Modern day, we might be used to maybe a big mirrored room or a fitting room or something like that, but they didn't have that there. Mirrors were very expensive. The thing that backed it was sometimes silver. So only noble people really had mirrors. And here he was with a whole ceiling full of mirrors. And it was said that if you would look at, there would be one angle when there would look like there was 3 of you, and one angle when there was 30 of you. And you could see that this was really a guy who was really interested in what is reality. Can you really be comfortable with knowing where you are? Who's looking at you? Who are you looking at? And someone who's really thinking like that is thinking a lot, and he's thinking a lot about madness. And so when you think, well, I go to Sicily to research a book, right? I haven't written the book. I know generally that I kind of want it to be about the rise of the mafia, but I'm not writing nonfiction. I want to write a story, right? And I think, what's the notes that you want to strike? In other words, what does it feel like to be in Sicily? Well, we've talked about what it feels like to be in the Concadoro. Natural, beautiful, lush. It smells fragrant of lemons. It's earthy. It's all of those things. And we talked about what it's like to be in the city, cobblestones, beautiful buildings, pot-bellied balconies, all kinds of things like that. But what is it like to be in Bulgaria in the Villa Palagonia? What is this prince? Why is he obsessed with this? And by the way, Villa Palagonia had incredible visitors. Goethe went there, the playwright. Dumas went there. People were attracted to his personality, his charisma, his madness. What was it that he was doing in this? And he entertained everybody, and he would talk their ear off. Patrick Dryden, who is a famous traveler of the times, wrote a book about it. I bought the book. He's English, and it was in English. And it was all about talking to the prince and listening to him talk about madness. And I didn't know that until I got there. And when I was in the place, I said, Sicilian Gothic, gargoyles. It's not Rome. It's this. This is the note I wanted to capture. And I didn't really even know how to do it until I got home. I'm looking for my big picture, and I started to think about it. And I thought, well, this is a time when they believe in monsters and they believe in the evil eye, which we'll talk about in a minute. And so I end up writing a book, which, yes, it's about a mafia, and he's a bad guy. We understand why he turns to crime. We understand why he starts the first crime family in Sicily. Also in the book is a guy who's the last Jew in Sicily, because we talked before about how the Sicily, by its edict, expelled all the Jews from the island. And there's a woman in the book who gives birth to a baby who's pure white, and people start to think, is she an angel or is she a monster? And there is a boy in the book who's kidnapped, and he is put away in an insane asylum, which really, really existed. And I went to visit it, and you will see it in future videos. And he's chained up forever, and he can't get out. And what does he turn into? And what is his nickname? It's the monster. Because I got from that visit, from that villa, that I wanted to explore that idea in loyalty. How much of us is monster? How much of us is human? Are we half human? Are we half monster? What is the nature of a human being? And I think it's oddly the same idea that Prince Gravina was talking about so long ago. And you feel that when you're in that villa. So that's what I sort of wanted to take you inside it, let you visit that mentality, that those are the notes I wanted to strike thematically, because those are the notes that you can't get anywhere else but in Sicily, in Bulgaria, in Villa Palagonia. That's why setting matters, because setting in a novel will imbue the characters. It will inform you what they do, the way they talk, how they relate, where they live, how they live, and especially the noble people, because there's plenty of noble people in loyalty. And what that struggle for good and evil, which is really a way, isn't it, of personifying the struggle between man and animal? What is your baser, Shakespeare talked about your baser urges, right? Or your better angels. Aren't we always struggling with good and evil? What is good? What is evil? How much of us is a human being? How much of us is monster? So that's what you're trying to get into. This is a bigger book for me. Its canvas is bigger. One of the reviews said it was sprawling. I'm like, you're damn right it's sprawling, because that's what I really wanted to get to. So that's me talking about, but when you read it, and that's what I want these videos to be, for you to go, and they'll be on the website forever. And there'll be an interactive map of Sicily. So you can actually see where Villa Palagonia is in relationship to Bulgaria. My characters go to Bulgaria from Palermo, and you'll understand, and maybe you can look at this again. It'll be a wonderful companion to the novel. So that's my little, got excited about Villa Palagonia. Now, I wanted to turn to our quote portion, because we've done quotes from other authors whom I love and whose books I love. And I've been so happy that they've said such nice things about loyalty. They didn't have to, and I was really grateful to them. So I wanted to spotlight one of them each week so that you wouldn't get to meet their books too. And after that, we talked about some of the reviews loyalty has gotten. But now what I wanted to turn to is booksellers. Let us take a moment to thank booksellers in our minds, because I love books. This is my signed collection. You can't even imagine how many books I have in this house. But also that I think booksellers are important, because I think books matter in communities. Yes, you can get books online. Yes, but I want to be able to, as I did with Francesca, take her into a bookstore, let her walk around when she's little, right? Find a book, let her discover what she likes. Let her see what's on the tables. Let her pull off the shelf and see what she likes. I always think of it like this. Here's my analogy. I love reading online, like a newspaper article. I want to know about what happened in the Ukraine. So I'll look up Ukraine. But I also like getting a newspaper. Why? Because I want to sit in a newspaper and I want to go page by page. And I want to see things that I wasn't looking for. Oh my God, that happened in Israel. Oh my God, that happened in Italy. Oh my God, look at that football team. They hired a guy. Oh, look, poor Brock Purdy hurt his elbow. He might have Tommy John surgery. And so you're always pulling information from everywhere else, but you didn't go in looking for it. The same is true of books. You may walk into a bookstore and go, I want the next book by whoever, hopefully me, but I want to sort of see stuff like her. Or I want to, oh my God, I didn't know I liked that. And also, I always love a dog book. Let me get a good dog book. Let me get a good cat book. Nonfiction, fiction. Bookstores matter for that, so that you can find what speaks to you. But they also matter for democracy. They matter for the statement they make, which is reading matters, education matters. Educate yourself. And that's what I love about you guys. And that's what I love about being in this world of books, because we're always educating ourselves. Every time you pick up a book, even fiction, don't let anybody give you a hard time. You're educating yourself. You're learning about a different point of view. So I was very, very honored to get a quote. I sent the book to several booksellers who I think are the best booksellers in the country, at these incredible independent bookstores. You will know some of them. We talked last week about Elaine Petrocelli at Book Passage in San Francisco. San Francisco people, California people will know that bookstore. Let me tell you about another of my most favorite bookstores, independent bookstores, woot woot, in the country, which is Browse About Books in Rehoboth Beach. I don't know if you've been there. I hope you have. Mid-Atlantic people know this bookstore. They go down to Rehoboth Beach. It is a beautiful spot. It's gorgeous. It's got a boardwalk. There's funnel cake. I don't know what else you need. If they're going to give you funnel cakes and a book, you might be in heaven. The owner of Browse About Books is Susan Kehoe. I met her, oh my God, 20 years ago or something. She was just a young clerk in the store then, because I was signing down there and I was so excited to be asked to sign down there. I love Rehoboth. I would go down there and I love reading on the beach. So it's all kind of great. And And she was so knowledgeable and she knew everything about it. And what I love to secretly do is after my signing, I go get books. I go, Susan, tell me what to read. And we would walk around the store together. We still do this. She'll say, read this, read this. She'll say, what do you like? I go, I like this. And it's the old, if you like X, you'll like this. And I love that. I love, and into over time, Susan, who's amazing and gorgeous and fun and smart, has become the owner of the bookstore. And she is the heart and soul of Browseabout. And she has a wonderful staff. And those of you who know the area, yeah, Browseabout books and right, Kim, right. I've been to Browseabout, right. I mean, she'll run luncheons, authors go there, which is a wonderful thing that the best independents do. They'll have people come in, we'll entertain you, we're happy. I love meeting readers, and Browseabout does great events. I'm going there this summer. We're trying to figure out the date now. Yes, add Browseabout to your list. Cape May Ferry, exactly. So when I went there, I took the Cape May Ferry after tour. So Browseabout is really, really wonderful. So when I sent the book to Susan Kehoe, whose opinion I respect so much, I said, if you like it, will you, tell me what you think? You don't have to like it, no pressure. And this is what she wrote. This is Susan Kehoe of Browseabout Books about loyalty. Murder, mafia, and madhouses combine with heartbreakingly human characters to make for a perfectly addictive story. Loyalty is an epic, twisty, historical thriller with a huge heart. I can't tell you how much that means to me, because I respect her opinion so much, because she reads like a fiend, because she has such great authors come to the store. And honestly, it's just what I was going for in the book. I was like, like died and go to heaven time. So that's just a way of saying thank you to Susan Kehoe. Thank you to Browseabout Books. Please support your independent bookstores. I just got to be upfront about this. They can't survive unless you buy stuff there. And if you want them to survive, you're going to have to buy a book there. I hope you pre-order loyalty there and enter it in the contest, because now we're going to segue into the contest. But even so, support your local bookstore. We need them in our communities. We need to be saying to each other, books matters because they nurture us. Books matter because we can educate ourselves. And as you know, from a book club, or even a night like this, Charlene Tilton, how nice. Parnassus Bookstore, I will come back. I'd love to come back. That books connect us one to each other. I mean, I have readers who I've known forever. I've watched them grow up. I've watched their kids grow up, like Susan Kehoe. I knew her when she was a cute little clerk. Now she's a cute little bookstore owner. That is a wonderful thing. And we are connected at the soul and the heart by books. So independent bookstores are a wonderful thing. Please, please, please support your bookstore. Please do. We want them to survive. Now, we got to do, I didn't mean to shout. We got to do the giveaway. I should mention this though. Pigeon Tony's Last Stand is coming out next week. Sadly, because it's a short story, they don't make it an actual book in an actual bookstore. But it is on Kindle and an ebook and on audiobook. It is free to Prime members. Thank you very, very much. And I'll see you next Monday night